I'm excited for this interview. We're going to get down, get some good stuff.
Derek, it's a privilege to be meeting with you today.
Thank you.
I'm so excited to have this discussion with you. I'm so excited to introduce you to your brain. So again, my name is Dr. Daniel Emina. I'm one of the psychiatrists here at the Amen Clinics. I've been here for 7 years. I'm one of the associate medical directors. I'm so fortunate to be sitting across from you because I've seen what you've been doing. I'm seeing the impact you're having. I'm seeing the impact your story is having on people. I did read your history. I've looked at your testing results, your scan results. We're going to spend some good time going through that today. The way I like to start things off first is just getting a little sense of what you hope to gain from this.
Part of my goal is to understand why I do what I do. Obviously, those first 5 years of my life were the most formidable, right? And there's always that original wound. And I have this original wound that sometimes will, help connect to other people. That's my thing. And so I think one of the big things is to look at how can I help other people with what I've gone through? Like a hope dealer. Not a dope dealer, not a dream stealer, not a hate dealer, right? A dope dealer, right? I mean, a hope dealer. And so, trying to be a blessing to others. That's the thing. And
I love it.
You know, I don't know if you know this, but well, you probably do. Almost 40%, 47% of our country has gone through some kind of trauma early on in their life. And then that original wound, it changes the trajectory of your life.
Does.
So I want to continue sharing a message of hope. I speak on childhood trauma all over the world. And if I can do it, you can do it.
I love the theme of turning the pain you've gone through into your purpose.
Growing up, I always had learning disabilities. I had all these labels, and all these labels were mentally emotionally disturbed, can't concentrate, withdrawn from reality, like all these things that happened when I was abandoned. And so it's going to be interesting to see if any of that affected my brain, which I would think it would. You know, so this brain has been my best friend or my worst enemy. And through the trauma, you learn to compartmentalize everything. And for years, Dr. Emina, I didn't cry. Crying was a sign of weakness. Crying was a sign of like, I'm not strong. But now I know strength comes through these tears, you know, and letting go and grow and being better and not bitter, right?
But then I've also seen the points where you've learned from it, you've grown from it, even starting with how you chose to utilize therapy, how you were willing to engage in therapy, things like EMDR, which you've become a huge proponent of, right?
Big fan of that.
And you've actually used those tools to help you be healthier and well. But I'm sure you'll be the first to admit it's an ongoing journey. There's ongoing maintenance, right?
I always have to fight, you know, like the automatic negative thoughts, the ants, right? And so I always have to fight, but I win. I learned how to divorce my story at a young age, at like 21 years old, you know, from not being a victim anymore to being a victor. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And I used to think of my life as a curse, and now I look at my life as a blessing, and I'm grateful for who I am and what I've overcome. And a lot of people beat themselves up. And they live in sad and pittiness and, you know, all these things, these negative emotions. And it's all right to feel them, I tell people, but you just don't unpack and live there. And I lived there for years, lived in anger, lived in bitterness, lived in resentment, lived in rage, lived in sadness, and then I learned to divorce my story. And this is going to be one of the final pieces of the puzzle, really.
Let me tell you about what we do here.
Okay.
Right, so you know, here at the Amen Clinics, we're quite a bit different than most clinics in the world, right? Our focus is on the brain, and the reason we have that primary focus is because the brain controls everything. If your brain is healthy, you're more likely to function well. If your brain is unhealthy, you're less likely to. Now, combine unhealthy brain in unhealthy environment.
Toxic stress chaos.
That's very tough.
Yeah.
That's very tough, and it takes a lot to come out of that, right? And that's unfortunately what so many people are going through in this country, right? Even people who are in decent environments, if you have an unhealthy brain, it makes it really hard to function well. People are gonna look at you and say, why aren't you functioning as well? And you're gonna start looking at yourself and go, why am I not? And then people start to own that identity, unfortunately, right? So we do something called SPECT scans. They look at blood flow patterns in the brain. And again, blood flow goes with activity. These are 4 different views. That's top, that's right, that's left, that's underneath. Okay, and this is healthy again because it's smooth and even. Okay. So we're gonna do a little drum roll.
All right. I get to meet myself here.
You meet your own brain right here. So this is you.
Oh my.
Okay. So I'm gonna put this right here. You're gonna take a little bit of a look first, and then I'm gonna go over it in detail.
Wow.
Okay. So a lot of good things here. There's some areas that definitely look healthy, and then there are definitely some areas we gotta work on. Okay, there's some areas that are gonna help you understand some of your symptoms. Okay. Remember, we gotta still talk about the emotional brain, which I have over here. But let's just start with our top-down view right there. What do you think of that? A little bumpier, maybe?
Yeah, I've almost got like some holes.
Okay.
Almost.
So temporal lobes, we want it full and active. So think right underneath your ears and in front of that, that's your temporal lobes. So the part of your brain, both sides. A lot of functions here. All right, so can impact language, listening, reading, writing, social interactions, right? You had pretty significant decreases there. Obviously, you're a social person. Obviously, you're verbal. Obviously, you're able to do quite a bit of things, especially in the motivational speaking that you've done. But it wasn't always the easiest to pick up the words, as you just rightly told us, right?
Yeah.
Your brain had to spend a little bit more time rewiring around certain areas of injury, right? That's the beautiful thing about the brain. We call it plastic. It wants to figure out another way. Right? If something is injured and if it can possibly do it, it's like it'll hire another set of neurons over there. You guys do this, okay? So your brain has found ways around it, but it would have caused some issues. Okay. I'm excited about the next one too, your emotional brain. Oh, that's a good one.
Emotional brain. All right, here we go.
The bigger picture of it is that the more activity in your emotional brain, the more you feel. Okay. The good and bad of all that, right? So if there's good stuff, the richer, the deeper you feel it. If there's bad stuff, the richer and deeper you feel it also, right? So now imagine if you have a busy emotional brain that you got genetically, like you just were born that way, but you also went through trauma and you're feeling all that. The world is extra unsafe to you, right? The pains, the frustrations, the angers, everything is richer and deeper. Now, over time, my hope and goal, and which is what you've actually done, is to convert or utilize that emotional brain for good, or use that, what I call a superpower, for good, right? Learning to, being able to channel it into something. You use it to basically change the world. That's what you're doing. Change one life at a time.
Yes.
Right? So let's look at yours. I'm already giving you hints that you're probably gonna have a little bit extra in there, right? But we want red there, which is medium activity. Let's see where yours looks like.
Let's see, here we go. Okay. Oh, I don't see a lot of white at all.
Okay. So you already knew that one was coming, right? I already been telling you your cerebellum wasn't lighting up.
A lot of fight. A lot of fight to get to where I am today.
Yep.
A lot of fighting, like emotionally fighting against my brain, right?
Yep.
Like fighting my thoughts, fighting my worries, fighting my stress, fighting my anxiety.
Yep.
I'm winning.
You're winning.
But there ain't no white there.
So we're gonna talk about how do we boost cerebellar activity.
Gosh.
Right? How do we boost that so you get a bit more? Because
this is normal. White. All this stuff here. I don't even have one. Oh my gosh.
So we'll talk about how to boost that.
Okay.
Right? Because again, remember, you found ways to drive it better. Right? Now, the part we're gonna spend a little bit more time is right here, your emotional brain.
There's no white there.
So there's no. So
Yeah.
you in this situation,
I got a superpower.
You got a superpower here. Okay. Some people can even look to the level of obsessive at times, where they get so fixated on one particular thing, right?
That would probably be me too, because I can be a workaholic. Like I can work 16, 18-hour days, no problem.
Yeah.
Like I can get obsessed on something, not addictive type of thing, like gambling or stuff like that. But I can, when I write my books or when I make music or something, I call it the Derek zone. I'm in a zone and I'm just
right into it.
Yeah, and I'm obsessed with it.
Yeah.
Is that motivation? Because I'm a very ambitious person. Would that be considered?
It's an element of it. It's a part of it, because you, especially if you have purpose.
Yeah. Oh,
then you're locked in.
Yeah,
right?
I'm locked in.
What you do basically is you use this spotlight of your anterior cingulate to lock into whatever you need to do, and then you move forward.
And I can lock in. I can. I shut the world. I can lock in.
Yeah.
That's a superpower, dude.
That is a superpower.
Look at it. No normal people have it.
Not here, but you have to learn to control it initially, right?
Right.
So I use this example too. It's like in those superhero movies, the first half of the movie, the person doesn't know how to control their superpower. They're shooting lasers out of their eyes, blowing things up, breaking things. Learning to control your emotional brain can be like that, right? Yeah. Most of the movies, they always show the superhero learning to control it.
Yeah.
And there's some, you can imagine a scenario where they didn't learn to control the power, right? And it continues to haunt them into their later days. And that's one of the reasons people can get angry or tired or frustrated at their brain, because they haven't learned to work with their brain. So in combination with the right supplements, with the right diet, the right exercise, something like hyperbaric oxygen therapy, and there's other things, neurofeedback, there's other things people do too. You really can help this brain heal even more, right? Especially since you've done so much of the hard intentional work on the therapy side, the management of the trauma side. You've done so much of that work, building up that software that prefrontal cortex runs. Then you're just taking it up a notch. You're like, continue to optimize this. Okay? Questions on this?
No, I'm excited to get my brain going here. Thank you, Dr. Emina. What an emotional day.
Good. No, this is good stuff. I think it's a privilege to do this work because, like I said, I get to introduce clients to their brain.
I'm known as the rapping dad, and I got this memory, and I learned how to use syllables and arrange, syncopation and rhyming and stuff like that. I got to bust a little rap for you.
Let's do it.
Let's see what I got.
Let's do it. I'm ready.
So I'll do something motivational, inspirational for the Amen Clinic here.
Let's do it.
Let's see. So here's a few lessons that I've learned. I've turned a mess into a message and earned a return. I've turned scars into stars, live like avatars. No one can stop you if you believe in your heart. And this is your life. Going on and never let the past infect your future for a moment. Never let a weakness destroy your greatness. It's time to profess. You're too blessed to be stressed. Bam! You can be everything you want to be. But never let the inner me be your enemy. It's time to be better and not bitter. It's a choice to be a winner, and it's a choice to be a quitter. So if you've been knocked down or thought about suicide, get out of the shadows and hold your head high, because this is your time. And this is your sign. Get up and climb. You were born for this moment to shine. You were born for this moment to shine. You were born for this moment to shine.